I have a movie idea. What if this brand had its own movie? Just hear me out. So there's this guy that works at a small town Starbucks in the middle of nowhere. Every night at the same time before they close, there's this one girl who always comes for a drink. She comes into the drive-thru, the guy recognizes her even though they've never actually met like face to face, and she orders the same thing. Well, one night she pulls into the drive-thru at her usual time. And because they're about to close, there's no other customers around. Even though they technically don't know each other, he's always excited to see her pull in. So he says hi and he says, "Can I get you the usual?" But something about her is off. And when she starts to speak, he can hear it in her voice that she's terrified. Quietly into the speaker, she says, "Look, I think I'm being followed. I came here at my usual time because I wanted to make it look like I had no idea, but I don't know where else to go. I need help." And immediately this guy is like, "Look, do you want me to call 911? I can call them right now." But then she says something so strange. She says, "You can't call them because I think they're in on it." Trying to think fast, he comes up with a plan, saying he'll come outside, put an out of order sign on the speaker, and have her park and walk calmly inside as if she's going inside to order. But as soon as she walks inside, he shuts the door and locks it. Now it's just him, the coworker, and her hiding from whoever is outside. What is happening? Who is this girl? Why is she being followed? How could the police be in on it? And could her usual Starbucks drop-in save her life? I have a movie idea. What if this brand had its own movie? Just hear me out. So there's this girl at school who everybody loves, who everybody's friends with. And she didn't grow up with everybody because she was new to the school like 2 years ago. And this is a small town where everybody knows each other. So when Victoria came to town, everybody was curious about her. But she was just like a normal girl. She was pretty, she was nice, she was smart. But the one thing about her that everyone knows is that her parents seem super strict. Like she's not allowed to have any friends over, so none of her friends have actually seen her house, and she's not really allowed to go anywhere but school. Obviously, she sneaks out from time to time. Well, one day Victoria doesn't show up to school, and her best friend knows that she's been acting kind of a little off the past few days, so she texts her and she's like, "Hey, where you at?" And after hours of not hearing from her, her friend says, "Hey, I have a secret, but I'll tell you at school tomorrow." The next day school starts and they're all in gym class. And as her best friend finally spots her in the crowd of all the students, a whole bunch of people rush in and they head straight for Victoria. And they're yelling things like, "Victoria, we have to get you out of here. You have to leave now." So she gets rushed out of school by these strange people and now nobody knows where she is. Who were those people? How did they know exactly where she was gonna be? Where did they take her? Who really is Victoria? And just like everybody's wondering, what was her secret? I have a movie idea. What if this object had its own movie? Just hear me out. So there's this girl that's in college, and today happens to be the last day of exams. And now usually their exams take place on computers, but this one professor is old school, which means all of his tests are on paper. So everyone has to leave all of their things in their car or at home, like their laptop, their phones. And as they're walking in, he hands each person a number 2 pencil. So they sit down, they take the test, and as everyone is leaving, they're throwing out their pencils. But then this girl desperately needed to get her hair out of her face and she didn't have a hair tie, so she used the pencil to put up her hair. So now it's late at night, almost all of the students are gone. She's walking in the parking lot when something happens. Something she never saw coming. She gets taken. They pull her into a van, they make sure she has nothing on her like her phone, and they leave. Over the next several days, she's forced to go with this person to many different places. And if she says a word to anyone while they're out, it's over for her. She knows she needs to find a way to escape, that she needs to find a way to be found. But she has nothing on her but the pencil in her hair. Not long after she was taken, she was able to get it out of her hair and slide it up her sleeve. And as they're going place to place, she uses it to make marks to give hints to whoever's trying to find her. And this number 2 pencil could be the key to her survival. Why would they take her? Who is behind all of this? How do they want this to end? And can she use this pencil to find her way home? I have a movie idea. Just hear me out. So there's this group of archaeologists. You know, the people that dig up old bones and stuff. And they've been digging and searching through this one site for months. And they found some cool artifacts, they found dinosaur bones, and honestly, things they were expecting to find. But then one day, everything kind of changes. Because as they're digging, they start to uncover a skeleton. And clearly it's very old and it's human. But this is where things get really interesting. Because the bones of the people in this time period that would make sense don't actually look like this skeleton. But even though it has a modern bone structure, you can still tell that it's been buried in the ground for hundreds of thousands of years. And buried with it is almost like a briefcase. So they pull out this briefcase and realize that it's actually a safe. And the original hand of the skeleton was holding this safe. And that too has been buried for hundreds of thousands of years. And now everybody's asking the same questions. How could this be possible? Who was this person? What is in the safe? And could this prove that time travel really exists? I have a movie idea. What if this brand had its own movie? Just hear me out. So it's many years into the future, and society has changed a lot. Kind of. By change, I mean everyone looks the same now. So now, when anybody is born, they get injected with some sort of serum that makes them look and act the same as everyone else. And the people who came up with this years ago were doing it to make a more peaceful society, or so they say. But then there's this girl, and although she looks and acts like everyone else around her, she doesn't actually think like them. And one day she just kind of snaps. She looks around her, she looks in the mirror, she's like, I can't do this anymore. I don't want to be the same as everybody else. So she cuts her hair, puts on makeup, changes her clothes, and then does the most dangerous thing she could do, which is walk outside. And when she does, people didn't react in the way she thought they would. She thought people were going to hate this, that she was going to look crazy. But everyone seemed to fall in love with her. People basically started to worship her for her rare beauty. They started realizing that their differences is what makes them beautiful, and the effect on the serum starts to reverse. But the girl is not safe because society loves her. In fact, she's in more danger than ever because the people in charge can't let this happen, or everything that they control will fall apart. Why didn't the serum work on her? Will she have to go into hiding? Will the change she made in society last? Or was the risk she made all for nothing? I have a movie idea. What if this brand had its own movie? Just hear me out. So there's this guy, and though he looks like every other guy, he's actually a secret agent for the CIA. So secret that none of his friends or his family actually knows what he does. But his relationships are very important to him, so he always makes it a goal to be home for Christmas every year. They do dinner and everybody exchanges gifts. His parents give him some new clothes and his best friend gives him a new pair of Nike sneakers. And there's nothing too crazy because they just like spending quality time with each other. So now the holidays are over and he's back on the clock. He has to travel all over the world for his work. But where he is has to be a secret because if it's not, then it could be very dangerous. And one day he's out doing some recon. He's got his new sneakers on, he's feeling good, he blends in. But then he notices something that almost doesn't make sense because he's being followed. So now he's running for his life and he's trying to escape that. But no matter where he goes, it seems like they always find him. He finally makes it to a safe house. He thinks his phone must be hacked and that's how they keep finding him. So he checks, but it's not. And this just doesn't make any sense to him because there's nothing different that he's doing, nothing new that he's wearing, except for the sneakers. He takes them off, takes the sole out of the shoe, and there he finds a tracking device. How could this be happening? Did his best friend put that in there? Did he have anything to do with this? Who could his friend be working for? And who can he trust? I have a movie idea. Okay, hear me out. So this girl is driving across the country. She's moving away from home, starting a new life somewhere else. And on one of the nights, she gets stuck in some traffic on the highway. So the GPS on her phone was telling her to get off of the highway and go into the back roads to kind of get around it. So she pulls off and now she's in the middle of nowhere. She gets deeper and deeper into the mountains and the woods, and her phone's about to die, so she goes to plug it in, but the charger isn't working. So her phone dies, and now she kind of starts to panic a little bit because she has no idea where she is. There are no signs anywhere anymore, and these streets have no names, and she's taken so many turns that she won't remember how to get back. So she kind of just keeps driving, and then by a miracle, farther ahead she sees a light. She's hoping that it's either a house or a gas station so she could get some help, so she drives straight towards it. And when she gets closer, she's stopped at a gate. And when she's about to turn around, a whole bunch of men with weapons come out of the woods. And they look like they're in the military. So they pull her out, they're asking a whole bunch of questions like, who are you? How did you find this place? And she's just trying to tell them that she's lost. Then they take her and put her in an underground building in an interrogation room. Because little did she know, she just accidentally found the real Area 51. How is this actually happening? Do they believe her about being lost? Are they going to let her leave? Or has she already seen too much? I have a movie idea. Really excited about this one, so just hear me out. So there's this group of like 4 girlfriends. And one of the friends has just been having a really tough time lately. So the other 3 decide to surprise her with like a weekend getaway. They're renting out this place that's like a few hours away from home in the middle of nowhere. And the whole point is just to like unplug from the real world and like just spend time with each other. So then they get there and they're exploring this beautiful house that they're staying in, and there's like woods everywhere. And one of the girls tells everybody to get together because she has like another little surprise. She pulls out like a lockbox, and it's actually for their phones. So in order for everybody to actually like disconnect, she got this like safe that comes with a timer on it that you put your phones in, and then you can't get your phones out until the timer's up. Obviously, everybody's on board, so they put their phones in and they set the timer for 12 hours, an entire night phone free. So they're hanging out, they're having a good time when one of them sees something in the window, almost like a person watching them. They all start freaking out, they turn off the lights, they lock the doors, because whoever's outside is not just there to watch them, but to hunt them. And of course, they can't just call 911 because their phones are locked in the safe. And now they have to survive until the time runs out so they can get help. Who was trying to hurt them? Was finding the girls there an accident, or was this planned? And will they survive long enough to get those phones out of that box?